Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth from lifeonfire.com. And I'm really excited because we have one of our good friends, one of my good friends, what am I saying? One of our good friends, Lisa Sasevich. And you may have seen Lisa on one of our previous episodes of Life on Fire TV, where we went, MTV Crib style, just going all throughout her house. And it was an awesome episode, a lot of great feedback. So what we have today is actually Lisa on stage at our big Ignite event. So we put these events on. We have hundreds of people that fly in and come in for them. And what she shared is really what her brilliance is, which is how to do the invisible close. So the invisible close is how to sell without feeling sleazy or slimy or like a salesperson. It's really about giving value and adding value to your audience, whether your audience is in an audience, whether your audience is a fan or someone that's watching online or after the end of a webinar. So she breaks down a very specific model, how to take your knowledge, how to turn it into a business, and how to use your communication, whether it be on video or audio or in person, and how to sell authentically using the invisible close. So it's a great episode. I'm excited for you to check it out, and I'll catch you at the end.
Hey, what's going on? Nick Unsworth here, and I'm a kick-ass business coach, and I'm on an absolute mission to help you find your purpose in life, to help you love what you do for work every single day, to help you be the rock star that you are meant to be, to make more money than you ever thought was possible, and to have more time freedom so you can actually enjoy the life that you're living. I'm here to help you set your life on fire.
So I am super excited about this session. So you guys fired up on what we're about to learn right now? Let me tell you a little bit about who we're going to bring on the stage here today. So my good friend, Lisa Sasevich, is about to come on this stage, and what I love about her is that if you have a vision, if you have a love for what you do, but you just flat out hate selling, she's your girl. She's your woman. And so the cool thing about Lisa is she has trained literally thousands of entrepreneurs on how to sell without feeling salesy, how to sell authentically. She's the creator of what's called the invisible close. She's trained thousands of entrepreneurs. She runs a multi-million-dollar business and one of the fastest growing privately held Inc. 500 companies out of her beautiful home in La Jolla with two, kids in tow. And so she does it all. And I think what's so exciting about this session is that she's going to teach you a framework on how to take what it is that you love, what it is that you love to do, your message, and to most importantly, get it out to more people. And to do it in a way that's really authentic, that's going to create the actions that we all need to drive revenue to your business. Does that sound good or what? Yeah, all right, I want you to rise to your feet, give her a very huge Life on Fire, warm welcome for our good friend, Lisa Sasevich. Come on, get it up! Yeah! Hey, y'all.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Hey there.
Sticker right here.
Thanks for having me. I always wanted to do that where you run down the front and smack all the hands, like flash dance. Thanks, you guys. That was a moment for me, I just need to say. The other one is that scene where she goes like this, so I'm working up to that. So great to be here, and I have to say, I'm just blown away by the energy, The dancing, the stepping up. I don't know, Nick, I wasn't expecting this. You are amazing. How many of you got to come over to my house recently on the crib tour? Raise your hand. So Nick calls me and says, can I come over? I have a cameraman. I want to come over and do like a crib tour. That was another thing, It's like, I could have a crib tour at my house? So he was the first one to ever come over and, just walk through all the rooms and catch me on a bad hair day and, meet my little dog. And anyway, it was really fun. So if you get a chance to watch it, just know that was my first ever MTV style Life on Fire crib tour. Thank you. So I just wanted to take a minute since, how many have we met online? How many of us, we know each other virtually? We've met either on social media. Okay, so there's a lot of you that I haven't had a chance to impact yet. And I want to show you a quick little clip here that really is a result of what I'm about to show you how to do. Because really, if there's one thing that God blessed me with, and that's really what we're all trying to do here, right? We want to take that which is ours to do, like it's already there. We don't have to go create it. This is just a remembering and unpacking of it. And when, you're here, right, for that. And when you unpack that which is yours to do, amazing things happen. But as Nick's been saying, you've got to take the action. You've got to put in the structures to do that, right? Otherwise, you don't honor the gifts that you were given. And let's face it, we don't know how long we have. So since I haven't met a bunch of you, I thought, give me 1 minute. I'm going to catch you up really fast on what I've been able to do with the blessing that God gave me, which is to lift people up, to show you a new perspective that maybe you just didn't think of before, and then, to open your world and show you exactly how to step into it. So from doing that, this is what's happened, and then I'm going to come back here and show you the steps on how. Does that work for you? All right, hit it.
Well, she's known as the queen of sales conversion.
Our guest this morning is multi-million-dollar earner and on the list for owning one of the fastest growing private companies, Lisa Sasevich. Good morning.
How does this working mom make this happen?
Well, Oprah Winfrey, Celine Dion, these women make more money than any of us. And if you pay attention, there are 3 things that they never say in order to make more money. 5 years ago, I was fired from my dream job on Christmas Eve.
What?
And I thought, what am I going to do? I've got a toddler, a newborn, and I just knew that I had to figure out my $1 million value. How am I going to make this happen for myself? By the end of this year, we'll have done about $20 million worth of business from the unique branded systems that we've created in the last 5 years.
One of the greatest discoveries in America today is Lisa Sasevich, and she has some of the greatest ideas on marketing and sales of your own personal services, of speaking to sell, of 6-figure teleseminars. I've been in this business for 30 years. I've read thousands of books and articles, and I've written dozens of books myself, and I have never seen the wonderful ideas that she has.
She crushes. She knows how to do this stuff, and she's making a fortune. And she's an agent of great change.
So the first part is really being able to speak that unique value that only you provide. I call it your $1 million value. For example, I help entrepreneurs make big money doing what they love. That's me speaking my unique value. This is actually a way for both women and men to be sure that they can make more money if they follow this formula. Is you are building something that is really the core of getting your expertise and your blessing out, whatever the form that you choose. Does that make sense? So a lot has happened since I was sitting in a chair just like you in 2009, came to a workshop actually right here in Los Angeles because there was this woman online. I had not seen a woman online, making it happen, getting out there. And probably like a lot of you, I swore to myself I was going to come there. It was already a stretch to be there. It was a $2,400 seminar. I was living in Tucson with a newborn and a 3-year-old, and my then husband in residency to become a heart surgeon. So to leave my home and come to LA, right? And I kept, there's no way I could do $2,400. And then when the deadline came, like the very last day to register, she put out an 8-pay plan. And so I did $300 a month for 8 months just to get in the seat like you are. So there was no way I was going to come. And, my promise to myself was I would just come and implement what I learned. It was an online success workshop. And then when I got there, and probably like a lot of you, and she made this offer to mentor with her further. And she showed me success stories, a lot like what you saw, like reality, that it really was working. I sat in my seat and I knew, my belief was there was no way. I was already still paying the 8-pay just to be there. But this thing kept coming up inside me. I don't know if you can relate to it, but it was like a brrrr, right? It was like, it just kept coming up. And I kept pushing it down, right? And it kept coming up because it was this knowing that I found my mentor, I was in the right spot, and if I didn't do it, then that was like a turning point for me of, my next birthday clicking along. For me, that was going to be my 40th birthday, and that, I ran the risk of really, what happened to my mother. She died at 48, unexpected. And at her funeral, everyone talked about what an amazing and good and giving person she was. And only if she would have taken a chance, only if she could have had an opportunity, she really should have. And all I heard was woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it didn't make any sense, but I changed my life story. I walked to the back table and I registered myself. And that was 2009. I was just about making 6 figures coaching. We didn't have a website, didn't have a list, just one-on-one, going to networking events and coaching. And just like the gal you saw in the video, I just want you to know that it's real. Within 10 months of walking to that back table and making it happen, like he said, just no clue exactly how, but just taking the first step, like the bridge did appear. Things started happening that I never would have thought if I didn't take the first step. I started raising my prices, getting opportunities, things that just I know would not have happened. And within 10 months of making that decision, this is like just like the gal, I could relate to her so much on that video he showed. Within 10 months, I had made $2.2 million, still sitting in Tucson with a newborn and a 3-year-old. And I've got to tell you, it was because I got close enough to my mentor. So I just wanted to open with that to tell you, like, my story is her story. And I know for me, sometimes I have to say no. Like, if I don't know what to do, I have to say no to something so that I can sit back down in my seat and then check in with how that feels. You know, and in many cases, it was like, yeah, that was the right thing. But I know there's also been cases where I had to just choose just to get out of the maybe. You know what I mean? And then I sit down, and I also can tell sometimes that I made the wrong choice. Oh, you know, I need to fix that. I needed to not do it so that I could sit back down and go, shit, I'm supposed to be with that group at lunch. Does anybody relate? Raise your hand if you can relate to just choosing so that you can feel the feeling of the choice. Anybody over here relate to that? How about in the middle? Just choosing so that you could feel the feeling of the choice. So I just want to say, I know we just had a potty break, and I know that, you know, we're gonna crank here for the next, you know, hour and a half or so. I've got so much to teach you, but I will not be offended if you sat back down, you know, you made your choice, and now you're thinking, you're in the choice, you're feeling the choice. You'll know because you can't hear a word I'm saying right now because you're so preoccupied that you should have done it. That would be one clue. Do you guys get this? So if that's you, you made your choice, you didn't go for it, and now you're sitting down and you can't hear a word I'm saying because you know you're supposed to be there, I will not be offended if you go get up and get yourself registered to be a Firestarter Pro Mastermind member. That choice for me, it changed my story. The story I would have had and the story I have now. And now that my kids are 9 and 12, it's changing their story. Okay, so is that a deal? If you feel that inspiration, I will not be offended if you get up during our time because you realize you can't hear a word I'm saying and you go do what you should have done at the break. Fair? Awesome. All right. And let's hear it for everyone that did make that choice. Let's hear it for our new members. Yeah. Awesome. So, you know, I showed you all that because I haven't met a lot of you, and I want you to know that what I'm about to teach you works. It totally worked for me, you know, even, you know, barely be able to figure out how to have the time to do business because of 2 little kids and living in Tucson where I didn't know anyone, and it can totally work for you. And for some of you, what I'm about to teach you, it might be the thing you do so that you can become a Firestarter Pro Mastermind member, like the fastest way to the cash, the fastest way to list building. So I want to give you right now what I did really to become the queen of sales conversion, to show up in the market, and kind of this person coming out of nowhere was suddenly, you know, having people like you saw in the video with the Brian Tracy's of the world, the John Assaraf's of the world, Jeff Walker, Frank Kern. Do you know how shocking that was to me when they became my clients? Really, still. But I want to show you like how I did it and how you can just go for it. And my message to you, like if I tell you my blessing is to lift you up, show you a new perspective, open your world, here's the world I want to open today. You ready? I was meditating about what is my message to you? Like what is the thing you need to hear from me? Here it is. You need to assume the throne. You need to just assume the throne. What do I mean by that? I don't care how awesome you are at social media, Facebook marketing, helping people do telesummits, helping couples have awesome relationships, financial services. No one is going to knock at your door and say, oh my God, you are the most amazing person at sales conversion. I brought you the crown, and I wanted to just come here today and crown you as the queen of sales conversion. Oh my God, thank you. I've been waiting for you. I mean, we hear these things on the news all the time and stories about the people that happened to. You know, they were working at Starbucks and then they got discovered and they're in a movie. Why do we hear the stories? Because they're so freaking rare. They're newsworthy, right? But that is not what happens generally, right? So you have got to assume the throne. And if I could do one thing today, I just want to show you how I assumed the throne. Because it dawned on me one day that I was not going to be discovered. And you don't have to wait till you get close to your 40th birthday for that to happen. You can stand on my shoulders and shortcut the whole thing. And that's really what I want to teach you today, is exactly how I did it. And then if you want to do it too, and you would like my help doing it, before I finish, I'll show you how we can do that. Fair enough? All right, so it's all about, here's the punchline, being ready. It's about being ready and stepping up with what you've got now. There's not a ton of building that needs to happen. You don't need to get your website up first. You don't need to have a product, a list first. You do need to have all those things eventually, absolutely. But first, you go with what you have now, your knowledge and your expertise. And can I just tell you, the fact that you're in this room, already you're qualified that you have enough expertise in whatever got you here. You know more than the people you're talking to. So going to get another letter after your name is not the answer. Another certification is not the answer. The answer is just putting in a structure to get out there now with what you have now. Fair enough? So how do you do it? I was asked on an interview the other day, Lisa, if you lost it all and you had one tool, one thing, you had $1,000 and one tool, what would you do? I said, this might sound self-serving, but I would actually invest in my own program, Speak to Sell. I mean, this is what I did as a result of all this, but I would learn. I would get out there, first thing, with what I have now, knowing my irresistible offer, and I had presentation that led to it. If you know your offer, whether it's one-on-one coaching, an event you're having, to help someone online, you fill in the blanks, and then you have a presentation that leads to it, you are ready for everything. You're ready for the news. You're ready to be interviewed on a telesummit. You're ready to speak on a stage. You're ready to have a teleseminar. Does this make sense? You're ready to have a webinar. You're ready to be a JV partner. It blows my mind that there's people even interested in being a JV partner that are not ready with an offer and a talk that leads to it. So what if we just spent our moments together today where I showed you exactly what an irresistible offer is, how to make it, and then if I talk fast enough, this will be a partnership here, I'd be happy to also show you the exact steps of the presentation that leads to it. Would that be valuable for you? Yeah? And who thinks that, with the goal in mind, that you are going to be in the Firestarter program or close access to your mentor, that this could be the thing that you could use right now to use what you have now to make that come true? Raise your hand if you can already see it, right? So that's all we're going to do, is we're just going to unpack that. Like I figured if I just have these moments with you, that's the biggest thing I can give. So let's do that. But I need water. I love this. Is this so cool? Good thing his brand is not Tidal Wave. Then what would you do? Anyway, so listen, I want you to know that whatever space you're in, online marketing, they are using, our systems for irresistible offers and the presentation that leads to it. Health, who's here is in health, wellness, whether it's the Eastern or Western or woo-woo kind, raise your hand if you're in health and wellness. This helps me know what examples to give you. Great. The biggest names, JJ Virgin, become one of my besties. Started out, though, we met in a mastermind, another benefit for those of you who are, in the program, lifelong partners and friends and supporters. Tana and Daniel Amen, the brain doctor and his wife, right? They're the biggest thing on PBS. they use our formula for making irresistible offers and then having a talk that leads to it. It's why their PBS show and JJ's run over and over again. So if you're in those spaces, our systems are specifically designed for the heart-centered entrepreneur, people who want to make a difference and make great money doing it. That's who these people are. John Assaraf, who here is in personal development? Raise your hand if what you do helps people get through their mind, change their brain, get through the mindset, and kind of look around, right? So, here's him sitting in our workshop. And one of the things that I want to point out that John says about our work is Lisa has the best systems on the planet. I can learn from anyone, but her systems. And face it, it's part of being a busy mommy. It's part of still having a business from home. It's part of still taking my kids to school, picking them up, getting my daughter home from gymnastics 4 times a week. I needed to figure out the fastest way, the most efficient way. So John says, I had everything. I had the fame, the following, the secret, all that stuff, but I had everything was in the wrong place. He says, I had the toilet in the kitchen and the bed in the backyard, and Lisa's systems helped me take all the stuff, which you guys like John, you already have, and put it in order, and the systems do the selling for you. So if you got into your own business and you're like, oh shit, I have to sell, you never were planning to be a salesperson, you don't have to. If you put the systems in, the sales conversion systems, you be you, and then you just hit the markers and the systems do the selling for you. That's the magic. And as it shared on the video, this, to my own surprise, brought us to be number 169 on the Inc. 500 fastest growing privately held companies. And I'm here to tell you guys, I still work from home. I want to inspire you that you can stay, you can be on the road, you can travel, you can raise a family. I still work from home. You can do this. You can do this. And this is how. By the way, I had dreams to go to the Olympics with my kids every 2 years because I thought, if we're going to travel, I don't have to think about where. I just go where the Olympics are. And then my kids get to see people at their best. So this was in Sochi, in Russia, last February. And, while their father and I are not married anymore, we took a platonic family vacation to take the kids to this trip. So I want you to know, everything's freaking possible. You can design it any way that you want. Now, here they are, bigger now. That's Maui this year. And, if you've got a laptop, you can do this. You can take this show on the road. And again, show you how now. And I got to say, for me, the kind of like what made it all flow, the grease, the thing that made it all flow, is that through the whole thing, we use the same structures that I'm about to teach you about making an offer for giving, for raising money for causes we care about. When my son was 10, let's see, he's the only white kid. See me, and then 2 over to the right, there's a little face. That's Elijah. He did have the right name. We went to Uganda, and worked in some schools that we built. We went to Cambodia recently. I got to tell you guys, any time that you can build your heart song, your philanthropic giving into what you do, it will make everything sweeter for you. You will enjoy the success more, and you'll take a lot of people with you, right? So I always, in everything we teach, love to show you how to do that too. Just want to inspire that. So here is how I've done it. You ready? All right. So I call it my 7-figure love your life blueprint, because pretty much if I were to say, what has it given me? A life that I love. And now I can say it's given that to clients in 134 countries. So wherever you're from, I know maybe there's people on live stream, this works across the world and in every language. And it's super simple. Don't mistake the simplicity of this for the importance of this. So my secret, how I've done it still from home with a very small team, I can fit my team in my living room for a team meeting, right? And you guys have seen my living room now, many of you, you've been over. I live in San Diego, by the way. Who here is San Diego or Newport? Wow, okay, awesome, yay. Makes it really easy to keep going together. So the heart of everything is what? What's in the middle? The irresistible offer. You're close. The irresistible offer, the big circle. So the heart of everything, and this is why I told you, if I only had, one tool to get started today, it would be my irresistible offer and a tool to lead to it. And for my choice is speaking. So we point everything we do toward the irresistible offer. And I suggest that you think about, making sure that everything you do is built backwards. It's reverse engineered. You think about the offer, and then everything leads to it. It's super efficient, and it's the best way to really give your clients the biggest transformation of actually saying yes to work with you. Now, what are those circles down below? Those circles, I call them discovery models. They are 98% of how people discover you are in those 3 circles. So if you're out there purchasing all kinds of courses and doing all kinds of things and feeling like you're taking a ton of energy and you're not getting results, I want to simplify it for you. There are, in my business, 3 ways that people find us. The first circle, high-ticket one-on-one selling, conversations, right? Networking, strategy sessions, that's one. The second circle, speaking. Now, in speaking, I'm also including virtual and live. So Nick talked about things like podcast interviews, telesummit interviews. That's all speaking. And if you want to do any of those things that he gave you that big vision for, what do you have to have? An irresistible offer and what we call a signature talk. I mean, that is really the key to having it point back to the irresistible offer, is that the talk is built and designed for that. It can be done as an interview. It can be done as just a presentation. And then the third way people find, and by the way, the people who find us through speaking, when we look at the people who become my highest end clients, the best people that I get to work with for the longest are success stories. And we trace back, they saw me on a stage, they heard me on a telesummit, they heard me on a podcast. Okay, so that's, I want to highlight that one. And then there's online promotion and delivery. So people find you through all the other things: Facebook, invitations to, all the emails that we do, all the social media platforms, all of that. Okay? So 3 things. Now, what I want to focus on today is the speaking leading to the offer. Because if you, tied my hands behind my back and said you only get only one discovery model, that is what I actually started with, and looking in my rearview mirror, I will tell you, and what we teach, is that's what I would start with again. It solves all the problems. What's my brand? Well, get out there with what you think it is, and you'll find out through speaking. Don't sit behind your computer trying to figure it out. It solves the problem of I heard somebody in the elevator this morning, what's your first thing you're going to do? I'm going to figure out who my ideal client is, who I'm selling to. Guess what? Speaking is the best way. You're going to see who gravitates to you, who stands up out of that audience. You can do all the classes and flowcharts you want, but you'll get it right away when you open your mouth and speak. You with me? It doesn't have to be like this. It could be in the lobby of a chiropractic office. It could be in your living room, right? It could be at your place of worship. So you could really start anywhere. So that's where we're going to start right now. So what I want to do is address 3 things with you. First, I want to show you really the mindset behind the money to be able to make this thing pay. Then actually get into the technicals of how to make that offer irresistible, like exactly the steps, kind of what you have to look for. And third, again, if I talk fast enough, I'll actually show you the steps to build the presentation that leads through the offer. So, you will literally, I'm kind of going to back up the truck. Is that okay? But, I need you on the edge of your seat because we're going for it. You there? You there? Okay, good. So let's get the mindset in first. So the thing with speaking, people tell me, like, Lisa, it's incredible that you've done the business you have with your brand, because literally your title of your main best-selling, biggest success story producing program has the 2 worst feared words in the human language: speak to sell. Right? I mean, 2 is like the word that doesn't scare people. The rest, So for some, they'd think it was a brand nightmare, right? But let me explain what I mean and why it works, and why do all these big names that, I just came on the scene, why were they flocking to my workshops? Why do they still come out and do VIP days in my living room, right? Frank Kern was out just last year doing a second VIP day. Why? See, fee-paid speaking is the thing we fear. I've got to package myself up, and I've got to actually sell my talk, right? And I've got to go into corporations, and I don't even do that. I just got to tell you, it scares me. But see, there's this other side that is why they are coming in, because they're realizing that this is actually the more exciting model. Because the fee-paid speaking, you have to sell your talk up front, you get to go in and inspire, and you're out of there. Maybe some business on the back end. Speaking free, is where you can go in, give your gifts, and then for the right people, for your ideal clients, for the ones that say, oh my God, I've been waiting for you, you can go deeper and provide a long and lasting transformation. Not just inspiration, but like those of you that are here working with Nick, can you feel it? It's a transformation. You're not just pumped up and ready to party, as my daughter Sierra would say, right? You have the tools to transform your life. And that's the benefit of the model I want to show you now. And here's the cosmic joke. People think that it's hard to get booked. Well, sure, if you want to get paid $20,000 up front. But if you're ready with your talk and you've got a nice little Word doc that says what they're going to learn with a little picture of you, like a one-pager, there are more people looking to book good speakers for their next meetup group, their next, I started at the Arizona Business Association. It was down the street from my house. That was those years I lived in Tucson. They were so happy to have someone to come into their next meeting and be the entertainment. So there's more. How many of you, let's do a test, shall we? How many of you have ever been in charge of finding the speaker for something you were involved in? I don't know. Raise your hand and keep it up if you at any point in your life had to find the speakers. Everybody look around, right? So getting booked when you're speaking free and you're prepared is easy. The thing is, people want to go get booked when they're not prepared. They don't have the talk and the offer. They want to get the gig and then they're going to go scramble to build it. Newsflash, they can tell. So let me show you how this pays if you just take a minute and get prepared. Number one, you will be in a small minority because most people out there that want to do this, they're not prepared, and they can tell. So this is how I assumed the throne, right? Because this is my message to you. This is what I'm supposed to tell you off script. You guys, it's time to assume the throne. You're being discovered right now. I'm discovering you. And I'm telling you, you're ready. You have something to offer. It's time. And check out how fast it can work. So this is how speaking free actually pays. And this is why the big guns do it too. So when I was in Tucson, didn't know anyone, newborn 3-year-old, husband in fellowship, I would find the Arizona Business Association was my first place I tried this. Audiences of usually about 30 people. That's kind of your average meetup or women's group or marketing group. And, I just met someone who said, I've been there where you're talking about. Where's my guy from Tucson? There you are. He's like, I know that Olive Garden. I remember, when I used to speak like in the back of the Olive Garden restaurant, and it was like this room that didn't have 4 walls. It had 3 walls and an accordion door. Right? So, you could hear the restaurant basically while I was speaking. But there, groups would use it. There'd be about 30 people there. And, about 6 of them, unsuspecting, would end up becoming my client. And my offer, I had an AOL account, and I was taking checks and cash, right? I didn't have products. I didn't have a list. That's why I'm saying you're ready now. My offer was $297 for 2 calls with me, that I would help you figure out your irresistible offer. That's it. That's it. And generally, I'm actually going low here because I really want you to see the reality. I'd walk out with about 6 people and said, that's worth $297. If I sell one more coaching package because she helps me. So it's pretty easy. And think about yourself. If you could help someone get out of pain about the relationship they're in, might that be worth it to them to talk to you a couple times? Right? If you could help someone just figure out their Facebook strategy on a couple of calls, wouldn't that be worth it? If they got one more client? So you can plug in anything you do to this. So that was $1,800 a gig. I had a goal always of speaking once a week. It was like as much as I could handle with the kids and stuff, and it never panned out. That usually was like 3 times a month, so I'm showing you the reality here. But 3 times a month was $5,400 a month. That was $65,000 a year. Base. Who here wouldn't mind a $65,000 a year base, speaking 3 times a month, right? And we already saw that a majority of this room has booked people, so you kind of get the reality that you can do that. And this is why I say base, is because, of course, once they bought that, do you think some of them became clients, right? Do you think some of them bought more work from me? Absolutely. This was how I broke right out into 6 figures, not knowing anyone, no list, nothing. This is the path to be able to be in any mastermind you want, not have to sit there feeling that way. Now, look what happened. Because I'd been speaking, and this is part of something that we teach in how to get booked, I'll give you the tip, I started learning how to turn one gig into the next gig, so I didn't have to look for gigs anymore. Here's the tip. Your audience, they belong to multiple groups. How many of you are in more than one group? Raise your hand. Look around. So if I'm speaking to you and I wanted more gigs, right? I could pull out a little tool, we give it to you in our Speak to Sell course, that would have you show me where else I could get booked and help me get referred there. And I could have 30 more gigs out of this room right now. And so could you at everywhere. You just got to get the one done. Get the first one. So all of a sudden, the audience size went up. I didn't really change my conversion, but out of 50 people, I was getting 10. And I had a little more confidence, so I raised my price to $497 for the 2 calls. But look what happened. Speaking 2 times a month with a slightly bigger audience. Now I had rooms that had 4 walls, right? This was like condo, you know how condos have like a room that you can rent, like I upgraded to those, the condo rec rooms. But I was suddenly making $5,000 a gig, and you guys can see that twice a month, I hit my magic goal as an entrepreneur, which was to make $10,000 a month. That was game-changing. You guys, that was $120,000 a year, right? So how many of you wouldn't mind $120,000 a year? Let's be honest, right? Changed everything for me. And again, that was a base, because the rest of the time, I was serving those people and they were buying more. So this is what's possible, and we have seen this with our students over and over and over, and they always send me letters saying, I thought it was so hard, and then I actually did what you said. I got ready. I assumed the throne. I'm the queen of sales conversion. Who will you assume today? And I got out there, because that's what you do when you assume the throne. You don't wait for someone to knock on the door, right? You get ready and you go. And you don't want to get stuck in the getting ready phase. You need a clear plan. It's like, okay, I'm doing this and I'm out. So the next breakthrough and the big possibility that I want to show you, that now so many of our clients have been enjoying for the last 6 years, is I finally got invited to do a travel gig. So this was real. I was going to go from Tucson all the way to Santa Barbara. My daughter turned 1, so I was like, okay, she's going to live, right? I can name her now, right? Some cultures. And I took the big flight, and I went up into the mountains to the master trainer camp in Santa Barbara, like an hour through windy mountains to like a retreat center with bunk beds and everything. And they told me it was a 60-person gig, but what they didn't tell me, and I didn't find out till I got there, that it was a breakout room. Now, if you don't know that terminology, I want to teach you something for when you're getting your book to yourself. A breakout room means they're going to take the 60 people, so like this many, and break us out into like 3 or 4 different rooms. So I might be lucky to, because unknown, maybe have 8 or 10 people in my session. So I had flown from Tucson. I had gotten a nanny. You know what I mean? It was a big deal. So I was still happy to be there, but here's the power of being ready with your talk and your offer. I said to the host, look, I'm here for the whole 3 days. That hill was treacherous and it's raining. If anyone doesn't make it up, I just want you to know, I thought I was going to be on the main stage. I have enough order forms. I will be up. Just if anyone flakes on you, I'm your man, right? So sure enough, the second day after dinner, guess who got to be dessert? Right? The after dinner speaker didn't make it up, or they added a session. I don't really know what happened, but because I was ready, I got to speak on the main stage. And I decided I was going to give a bonus of the Invisible Clothes ebook. I hadn't had my brand up to this point, already making $10,000 a month, not thinking I need the branding first. Do you hear me? You don't need your fancy branding first. I figured it out from speaking. Hadn't written my ebook yet, but I figured I'd offer it today. I think it was May, and I said it would be ready by August. That's to tell them the truth. A couple power hours, those were coaching sessions. That was my pricing. Or 1 for $250, 3 for $697, and then in my pocket, if someone wanted more, I had an 8 to 10 session package. So I spoke, I did my offer, and instead of $10,000 in a month, guess what happened? $10,000 in 90 minutes. I'm still kind of like a quiver when I think about it, because that is a game changer. And it was with 60 people, with those offers, no list, no product, just my coaching, my advice. And I'm not a certified coach, by the way. It was just my expertise, my advice. I'll talk to you, I'll help you, right? And an ebook that was going to be ready in 4 months. Which I did. I mean, I want to tell you, if you have integrity, you can do that. Of course I delivered it. And to this day, it still sells online and makes thousands of dollars a month. So thank God I put myself under you've got to get a structure. You've got to put yourself under the tap. Something with mentorship, something with dates. You know, to tell yourself you're going to go out of here and something different's going to happen if you don't secure that structure before you leave this room. Come on. We have to all be honest with ourselves, including me. So that was my big breakthrough. And so I go back to my what do you call it, bunk. And the speakers are all in one bunk. I'm in the speaker cabin. And I'm sleeping on the top bunk above a marketer named Suzanne Falter Barnes. Anybody heard her name? Yeah, she taught marketing. So I am so excited. I mean, I just made $10,000, right? And I'm away from my kids for 2 days. There's like a lot of good things go. I love my kids, but come on. By that was like my first time. So it was a lot of good things happening, right? And I climb up. She's already sleeping. I'm like out there doing laps. I can't relax. I mean, my life just changed. I'm just thinking, how do I do this again? So I climb into my squeaky top bunk and trying not, I mean, if I move at all, it's like, right? But there's like energy. You guys ever have that where there's just energy coming, just out of my hands and coming through me? And, I'm Jewish, but this was kind of like the ghost of Christmas past story, because my dad, who passed away recently, kind of like showed up in my head, laying in my top bunk, trying not to move with all this energy. And my dad was getting up in age, and he was getting to that point. And who has aging parents here? Raise your hand if you've got aging parents, right? So do you ever go through that thing where they tell you the same story or the same thing over and over? They're like, if there's 5 lessons I could get in your head before I go, that's all I'm gonna say to you. So my dad had been in that phase, and there was one particular one that I think I just hadn't heard until that moment. And this was my turning point. This was my assume the throne. So it's part of what I am giving to you today, okay? First message, it's time. No one's going to discover you. You have to assume the throne. Second thing is what my dad said to me. So I'm laying in bed, there he is. And by the way, this really would make sense meeting my dad. So my dad, in his day, was a world-famous ventriloquist. Awesome. Yeah. He played in the band and got $100 a week. And then he realized that the comedian in the front was getting $1,000 a week. So he said, I got to get an act. You guys getting it? I got to get an act. I got to get a presentation, right? So he did, and because I was born in Miami Beach, there's a lot of Latin and there's a lot of Jewish going on, kind of blended. My dad decided, I'm not doing the Irish dummy. I'm doing the Latin dummy that talks with a Yiddish accent and sort of cracks Yiddish jokes. And no agent would take him. But he assumed the throne, and he created Chico Chico. And let me tell you, my dad was on the Ed Sullivan Show twice. He traveled around the world with one act 3 times. He played Radio City Music Hall in New York. He played the Moulin Rouge. So his idea to create that act, it paid off. And when I'm laying in bed there, vibrating from just having made $10,000, out of the chute, from one talk and making my offer, my dad shows up, and I finally hear this thing he had been trying to tell me. And here it is. He said, Lisa, don't change your act, change your audience. Amen. Don't change your act, change your audience. I'm like, wow, I hear you, Dad. So it's not about that I have to create something new everywhere I go to get out. I just need one act. The one I just did seems to work. I've been practicing in the back of the Olive Garden for a year. And all I need to do is just take that one signature talk, got it? And just get it in front of as many of my ideal client audiences as I can. Nowadays, what does that look like? You pull them in from Facebook. You speak on podcasts. You get on stages. You invite them to your living room. I'm not saying change who your ideal client is. He's saying get one act, and then all your job is, how do I do it? just getting my signature talk in front of as many groups of my ideal client as I can. Who got it? Did you get it? Raise your hand if you got it. Yay, Eddie Garson! Right? This is his legacy, right? And this is what we're doing. We are getting out there with our own. So, don't change your act, change your audience. Obviously, you've got to have your act. And you've got to have your act because why? Mindset, you have something to offer. You would not be here if you didn't. And you've got to assume the throne, even as you're figuring it out. Now, let's talk about the offer. Because a lot of people think, well, I'll just keep networking, working on my brand, figuring out my ideal client. I'll just keep networking, and they're not making an offer. Here's the next shift. This is a lot of shifts in one day. So you guys ready? So if you've been out there kind of getting on the edge of the diving board, I'm scared here, meeting people, I'm wearing my big girl shoes today. I want to be tall. If you've been out there, having those lunches, letting people pick your brain at Starbucks, right? Going to networking things, but you're not making the offer. You're not making the invitation. You're not getting to that next step. It's a disservice. I'm here to tell you, I love you, and you're disserving people. Like I'm telling you from love. It is a disservice not to do all these activities and be short of making your offer. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, it's clearly a disservice to the people who need you. I mean, you open their possibility. What if you could have the body of your dreams? What if you could make the money of your dreams? What if you could have the relationship of your dreams, right? The vitality, the health. You open them up like to the lake of possibility, and then you leave them out there with no paddle. If you don't make an invitation to say, come on over, let me hold your hand, let me show you how I did it, let me give you the system, then you open their mind and then you leave them. And here's the problem. I'm a child of transformation. After my mom died, I found personal development, right? So I speak the language. The problem is possibility, it's inspiring, but it disappears. If you don't have a structure, and it's what Nick's offering you, if you don't have mentorship, if you don't have a community, a structure, commitment, some skin in the game, usually for us it's money, right? If it's just not uncomfortable, it's a grand possibility and you walk out here and what happens the minute you get home and something, crazy happens? It's gone. It's like, have you ever had a dream where it's so real? You ever do this? Come on, tell me if I'm alone. You have a dream, it's so real, you can smell it, and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm just gonna brush my teeth and then I'm gonna tell my honey. And you brush your teeth, and you cannot freaking even remember one thing. Who's done this? That's possibility. If you don't have a structure, it disappears. So, there's 2 sides of this. If you're not putting yourself in a structure, then, you're getting inspired and it disappears. We've all been through it. But let's talk about you as the provider. When you don't make your offer, you open possibility, and then it disappears the minute they walk away from you. So that's a disservice. Would you agree? Yeah. You can start right now helping people. And here's the other disservice, and this is I always nervous telling you this when we're just meeting because it's painful. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? When you're out there educating the world, telling them why they need to have a blog, why they need to be on Instagram, why they need to be, whatever the thing is that you do, the important thing that you do, and you don't make an offer, you're doing the heavy lifting for your competition. You're educating the market, right? You're out there, you're doing the costly part. You're flying all over, you're telling them why they need an insurance plan, why they need to save for their future, why they need an ebook, whatever, And if you don't make the offer, guess who comes in and does? The new guy. And I know I've got some of you, you're 10-year, 25-year veterans in what you do. And you can't figure out why the new guy who just the ink on his certification isn't even dry and he's snatching up the business. Probably we met. He's probably in our courses. So you need to make your offer because not only are you disserving the world, right? We won't even talk about the disservice to the gift you've been given, but you are also doing the expensive, time-consuming part for your competition. And let me give you the test how you know if you're doing that. You feel like you're spending a lot of money and a ton of time, and you're not making any. It's not paying. So we need to fix that. And the great news is, it's not hard. We just need you to start making your offer and to be ready with a presentation that leads to it. Really. Let's take a deep breath because we're going to get into how to. Ready? I needed that. Okay, kind of passionate about this, can you tell? And that's you. We've all got that piece that we can't not do. You're here because you can't not. You have to, right? And this is your chance to put in the structure. So the mechanics. I love what you're saying, Lisa. Sounds awesome. Beautiful words. How do I do it? You ready for that part? Who's ready? Okay. I saw how pumped up you can get. You can't hide from me. I saw. Okay, so these are the elements. Let's start. So we always reverse engineer everything. We want to start with the offer. We want to start with the end in mind. So what's the offer that you want to make? And for some of you, the first thing you're just going to get out there is offering your advice, your knowledge from figuring it out yourself, your knowledge from X years. You'll start with that. Some of you, you're how to develop business. You already know the offer is to come on into your chiropractic office and have a consult, to talk on the phone. So the offer might be for purchase something, and it might be to connect for a one-on-one live or through strategy session. Okay, could be to come to your event. So you've got an offer. So let's talk about how do you structure an offer to be irresistible? And what I want to give you for starters today is 3 things that an offer has to have to be irresistible, okay? So number 1, it has to have the main dish. And if you have offers already, I promise there already is a main dish. What you're going to get from today is distinguishing it. Which part is the main dish? It'll make it more powerful when you present it. So the main dish is the main way that you deliver the transformation that you're promising. So for us, for example, if our promise in our Speak to Sell virtual boot camp is that you will have you put together an irresistible offer and a presentation that leads to it, which gives you the confidence of being ready. How do we do it? The main dish in our virtual boot camp, how we do it, is a 5-part online video training series coupled with coaching with me. That's how we do it. That's our main dish. Like if there was nothing else on the plate, that's the transformation, being confident and ready with your talk and your offer. You got it? So your main dish might be a 3-day workshop like this. Your main dish might be an ebook. Your main dish might be 10 sessions of private coaching. It could be 6 chiropractic sessions or 6 months in your membership. Whatever that is, how you deliver the transformation, that's the main dish. Now, here's my main tip for the main dish. When you're presenting that, when you're making your offer, don't get too wrapped up in the technicals of how you deliver the main dish. Stick with the transformation that comes from the main dish. A way I like to say it is, remember, they're buying the destination, not the plane. So the main dish is not the 3-day workshop. It is how you deliver it, but when we're talking about the transformation, the main dish is to come get fired up and transform your business and your life in a 3-day workshop. You see how the 3-day workshop is 10% of what I'm saying and the transformation is 90%? Big tip, 90% transformation, 10% service delivery, how you deliver it. So that's number 1 of an irresistible offer. You got to be super clear. This is the main dish. Everybody with me so far? All right. I told you this is simple. All our work is simple, but it makes it all pay. Number 2, bonuses. Bonuses. Now, there's some old school models out there where it's like, hey, come do my thing for $497 and you're going to get $68,000 worth of bonuses. And there are some models where it's still appropriate. But let's think it through. Can we just take a minute? If the main dish, for example, is a 5-part, self-study course coupled with Q&A and mentorship, and you're going to get everything you need in the promise, do you really have time right now for 75 more hours of interviews that I'm going to give you? Do you really have time right now to read my 16 books that I wrote for the last 10 years that I'm going to ship to your door? Does it a little bit make you wonder what's wrong with the main dish? Do I need all that? Could I get that just from the main dish? So for a majority of us, with what we're trying to do with our offers, and again, there are models where the stacking tons of bonuses make sense, but for a majority of what you're doing, to really be powerful, these are my tips for your bonuses. Few and tightly related. Few and tightly related. I'll show you an example in a minute. Okay? But I'm talking 1, 2, maybe 3 bonuses that totally help the main dish. That person that would want that main dish, they would probably pay for that bonus, and today they're getting it free. And because there's one or two, you're able to describe it, really have them create that hunger for it. Again, I'll show you an example. Let me show you the third element, then I'll tie it all together. The third element of an offer being irresistible, we call a limiter. Now, if there's one rookie mistake that people make when they're out there for the first time trying to make their offer, they forget the limiter. So what's a limiter? You guys are like on the edge of your seat, so I'm going to give you a little extra here, okay? Yes? All right. Super simple. You can do this right now to everything. Add this to what you're already doing. Two main limiters, time and quantity. Let's think about life, like real life. Like, what are our real limiters, right? Time and quantity. So, for example, when people invest in working with me to get their offer and their talk done, we have a limiter. Time. For the people that do it right after I speak, right? They stand up, they run to the back, they know it, they already know while I'm speaking it's what they want to do. The limiter, the time limiter, is just on this break, right? It's not for after the break, it's not if you call us later. And the bonus that's tightly related is, what's the first thing you need after you speak? Gigs. So our bonus is the thing that we sell separately for $497. We throw it in, the Get Book Toolkit. It's like, remember I mentioned earlier, there's a form that I can use to turn this gig into 30 more if I had the time for it, right? Like there's a form, you get that first one, and then we show you just one example of what's in the Get Book Toolkit. Here's the email. Here's what to send. This is all they need. Here's how you turn the first gig into 3 more gigs so you never have to go looking for gigs, right? That's the kind of stuff that's in there. And so can you see that it's it's one thing. It's super tightly related, like almost all our students go buy it after. And if they buy now, this helps them flip their switch, right? Because when you're faced with a decision, you overthink it, and should I, and I already have too much stuff, and you kill the possibility that's inside you. So it's our job, you and me, with limiters and bonuses, to help people. The whole point is to help you flip your switch, to get past the part of you that talks you out of shit and keeps you small. Right? So you using bonuses and limiters is a service because you help somebody get past, they're like, well, I didn't use the last program, I don't have the money, and what will my spouse say? And you help them go, oh my God, that's coming with the Get Book Toolkit, I'm out of my chair. And you just served that person on the highest level. You did the thing they weren't able to do themselves. You helped them flip the switch and get past the little me, the brain telling them you can't do it, and have them go with the big me, the heart, the mission, the knowing, the connection. You help them move from that with this. That's why it's so important. So there's an example. So there's the limiters were time and quantity. The quantity might be, we have X number of something today. You're doing a health course. I got 18 pedometers back there. So if you really want to get started today, be one of the first 18 people. We're going to strap it on you and start counting your steps right now. Right? So that's quantity. You guys got it? Time and quantity. Awesome. So that's how you make irresistible offers. Let's make sure you've got them. So you've got the main dish. What was the second one? Bonuses. And what was the third one? Limiters. And who remembers the rules on bonuses? Few and tightly related. And limiters. Time and quantity. Amazing, right? How many of you think you could apply this into what you're doing right now to make a difference? Raise your hand. Like right now, right? Like you've got a strategy call tomorrow and you're going to throw this in before you talk to this person. There's someone in this room that you talk to and you're going to walk up and say, by the way, if we close that thing, if you want to say yes now, I'm going to throw in an extra 2 hours.
All right, so as always, you can go to lifeonfire.com and catch up on the show notes. So if you're not aware, we have all the resources. So anything that she mentioned, that whether it's a link, whether it's a book, we always have resources on lifeonfire.com for your favorite episodes. And one thing I would encourage is we would be so grateful, and we love it when you share the content. So you go over to lifeonfire.com, Facebook share, tweet it up, get your favorite episodes out to your friends, and that's a huge help to us so that we can keep going bigger and badder and better at bringing you more and more awesome content right to your earphones or right to your screen if you're watching on YouTube. So again, I want to encourage you to go to lifeonfire.com. Also, definitely share it up. Definitely subscribe, whether you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, or if you're on iTunes, subscribe up, share the love. We appreciate it, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Cheers.
I'm here to help you set your life on fire.